choice.
Hello, good afternoon. So you guys are all here for the free samples, right? So before we get started, I just want to give a little bit of background on myself, and then we'll set a little context, and then we'll get into it. Sound good? Okay, so by way of background, my husband Steve, who's right here, and I launched a family foundation in 2020 focused on moonshots and mental health. And we did that because sadly we lost a family member to opiate addiction, and we felt like psychedelics might be the most potent tools that we have to help address the growing mental health crisis. So, the World Health Organization estimates that 1 billion, or 1 in 8 people, suffer from mental illness. And until psychedelics, the last major innovation in psychiatric care were SSRIs, which in my country, the United States, 14% of US adults are taking SSRIs. They're even detectable in our water supply. And sadly, they don't work great for most people and certainly fall short of their promise. So given this backdrop, it's no surprise that alternatives are desperately needed, and enter the world of psychedelics. So while indigenous cultures have used these tools for thousands of years, they're making a comeback in Western civilization thanks to the incredible work of these two gentlemen, as well as a generation of leaders who have kept the research flame alive. So where are we today? There are several promising psychedelics in the FDA pipeline, and the results of their trials have been nothing short of impressive, especially when you consider that the alternatives are woefully inadequate. So here's a highlights reel. Lykos MDMA-assisted therapy has demonstrated a 67% remission rate for PTSD. Compass psilocybin has shown a 22% remission rate for treatment-resistant depression, and Beckley Psytech, which atai has a strategic investment in, has demonstrated a 45% remission rate for treatment-resistant depression in a single dose of a very potent, fast-acting psychedelic called 5-MeO-DMT. This was a small study, but the results are incredibly promising. And here's where we are with access today. Here in the Netherlands, you can quasi-legally access psilocybin mushrooms in the form of truffles. You didn't hear from me. And in the USA, the states of Oregon and Colorado allow therapeutic access to certain plant medicines. Oregon has been up and running for a year now, and they've treated over 4,000 patients, including many of our US military veterans. Colorado will come online in the next year, and Massachusetts is voting on therapeutic access this fall. On June 6th, here in the Netherlands, a panel of clinicians was brought together to assess the safety and therapeutic potential of MDMA. And here's the panel's response, and this is a quote. With what is currently known, there appears to be sufficient evidence for the effectiveness and safety of this form of therapy. Bravo, Netherlands. The irony is that in the USA, 2 days before the Netherlands released that statement, our FDA came together to give advice, I should say an advisory committee came together to give advice on whether the FDA should approve MDMA-assisted therapy in August. And much to the surprise of a lot of people, they voted to not recommend it, which sent shockwaves through our industry. So the FDA has a precedence of going against the advice of this advisory committee, but as you might imagine, it's an incredibly tumultuous time for all of us. So with that backdrop, I'd love to jump in our discussion with Kabir and Florian. So I'd love to just spend a minute or two on your background. Like me, you also lost a family member to mental illness, which catalyzed your involvement in the field. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit more about your connection to this work and what drives you.
Thanks very much, Genevieve, and it's great to be here.